picture the scene. It's a sweltering late June night in Austin, Texas.
Oh, the humidity there is no joke.
Right, totally. So you're standing in the middle of a massive concert arena. The air is just thick with humidity and anticipation, and the flashing strobe lights are nearly blinding.
Sounds intense.
Oh, it is. And then the bass drops to a massive pop hit, a song that has, arguably defined an entire generation of breakups.
Everyone knows the words by heart.
Exactly. The crowd is collectively holding its breath, waiting for a very famous, very specific lyric to drop. But suddenly, the singer on stage completely flips the script and changes the words.
Wow, just live right there.
Right there. The crowd freezes for a fraction of a second, realizing what just happened. And just like that, the entire digital world has a brand new obsession.
I mean, it is the ultimate recipe for a pop culture meltdown, you know? A single changed sentence delivered live on stage, and within minutes, millions of people are forensically dissecting it across every social media platform.
It's wild. And the headline that sparked this absolute frenzy: Ariana Grande reunites with her ex after recent breakup.
Such a loaded headline, too.
Seriously. So welcome to our deep dive. Our mission today, for you listening, is to sift through a massive stack of sources to figure out what is actually happening beneath the surface of that explosive headline.
Yeah, because there is always more to the story. We're pulling from verified TMZ reports, industry analysis from Billboard, and this is my favorite part, a really fascinating scholarly review on behavioral psychology.
By the researcher on Vijana, right? We are going to look behind the curtain of Ariana Grande's love life, her dramatic career shifts, and the deeply ingrained, slightly disturbing science of why we care so obsessively about people we've never actually met.
The trajectory of this story is quite revealing. I mean, it takes us from a surprisingly quiet romantic split to a viral, heavily scrutinized handshake, and ultimately into the neurological mechanisms that explain why a fan sitting in their bedroom genuinely feels like they are personally involved in a celebrity's relationship.
I can't wait to get into the psychology stuff, but I'll tease you with this. It involves an amicable split, a totally viral handshake,
Right.
and a psychological phenomenon that literally rewires how we experience empathy.
It's going to be a wild ride.
So let's start by unpacking the breakup itself, because the first major revelation from our sources completely defies expectations.
It really does. It's almost anticlimactic in a way.
Right. According to verified reports from June 2026, Ariana Grande and her Wicked co-star, Ethan Slater, did not have the explosive, tabloid-shattering breakup that the internet was waiting for.
Not at all.
They actually ended their nearly 3-year relationship quietly, like months before the public even noticed.
The contrast there is what makes it so notable. If we look at how that relationship began, it was forged in the absolute center of a media hurricane.
Oh, a total hurricane.
Right. I mean, they met during the rollout for the massive film adaptation of Wicked, where she plays Glinda and he plays Boke. And by July 2023, the level of public scrutiny was suffocating.
Suffocating is the perfect word for it. Largely because both of them had very recently separated from their respective spouses.
Exactly. The timeline was relentlessly analyzed at the time. Ariana's divorce from Dalton Gomez became official in March 2024, and Ethan had just separated from his wife, Lily J.
It was messy, or at least the media made it look incredibly messy. When they finally made things Instagram official in November 2024, every single post, every glance, was treated like a piece of evidence in a public trial.
It really was. The noise surrounding their origin story was deafening, which, makes the silence of their ending all the more striking.
Right, because you expect a huge blowout.
Totally. But the verified reports described the split as entirely amicable, noting that they remain supportive friends. The public only started to piece it together when Ethan was notably absent from the kickoff of Ariana's Eternal Sunshine tour.
Oh, right, the Oakland show.
Yep. Oakland, California on June 6, 2026. Prior to that, there were no leaked rumors, no cryptic social media posts, no unfollowing sprees, nothing.
There is a strange dissonance here for the public, I think. We are so conditioned by tabloid culture to expect scorched earth.
We really are. We want the drama.
We want the screaming matches, the betrayal, the dramatic digital erasure of deleting all the photos. When two people just make a quiet, mature decision to go their separate ways, it almost feels like a letdown to a highly engaged audience.
It's like, wait, where's the fight?
Yeah. It's like watching a high-octane blockbuster movie that suddenly abandons its genre and ends with a calm indie film fade to black. You are left sitting in the theater wondering where the explosion was.
That is a great way to put it. And that indie film fade to black isn't just a romantic choice. It appears to be a deliberate, sweeping life strategy for her right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Her professional decisions mirror that exact same desire to de-escalate and quiet the noise.
Yeah, Billboard published a really insightful piece on this parallel. Ariana is actively pulling back from the overwhelming machinery of modern fame. Like, she announced that her 2026 Eternal Sunshine Tour will only consist of 45 shows.
Which is tiny for someone of her status.
Right. To put that in perspective, a typical massive global pop tour easily eclipses 100 dates. She is intentionally cutting her public footprint in half.
And she articulated the mechanism behind that decision quite clearly to Billboard. She stated that she is focusing on healing her relationship to music.
That's a powerful phrase, healing her relationship to music.
Yeah. She mentioned that stepping away to film Wicked provided a necessary buffer. It allowed her to separate the fundamental joy of creating art from the crushing, unsustainable pressure of pop stardom.
Because the pop machine just grinds you down.
Exactly. She is actively compartmentalizing the negative psychological weight attached to fame and keeping it away from her creative process.
And she is channeling that protected, healed energy into her 8th studio album, Petal, which is scheduled for release on July 31st, 2026.
I'm really looking forward to that one.
Me too. It is a radical act of self-preservation in an industry that usually demands its stars bleed for public entertainment. But, stepping back from the limelight doesn't necessarily mean the public gaze goes away.
Oh, definitely not. Because if you think Ariana stepping back means she's out of the headlines, wait until you hear who showed up in Texas just weeks later.
Yes. This is where the story shifts gears entirely. A quiet fade is abruptly replaced by a viral spectacle.
The internet just could not handle this.
They really couldn't. Shortly after the breakup news settled, the internet was hit with sightings of Ariana in Austin, hanging out with her ex-boyfriend, Ricky Alvarez.
And to understand why the internet had such a visceral reaction to that specific name, we really need to look at their history.
Bring us up to speed, for those who might not know the deep lore.
Okay, so according to the fandom wiki sources, Ricky Alvarez was a backup dancer on her 2015 honeymoon tour. They dated from 2015 to 2016.
Yes. That era is legendary in pop culture lore.
It really is. I mean, it encompasses the infamous Donut Gate incident, which was a massive scandal at the time.
Oh man, Donut Gate. That feels like a lifetime ago.
Right. But beyond the tabloid fodder, he had a tangible impact on her catalog. He inspired the track Moonlight, which was reportedly his nickname for her after their first kiss.
That's actually really sweet.
It is. But his most permanent stamp on the cultural zeitgeist is his inclusion in the song Thank You Next, which is, let's be honest, essentially the modern anthem for processing past relationships.
Oh, 100%. And the iconic line is, wrote some songs about Ricky, now I listen and laugh.
Such a good line.
It's brilliant. It was the ultimate breezy dismissal of a past romance. It categorized that relationship as a closed, slightly amusing chapter of her youth. So fast forward to June 25, 2026. Ariana is in Austin just before her 33rd birthday.
Setting the scene again.
Yes. She and Ricky are photographed at Donata Cantina. The rumor mill immediately spins out of control, predicting a massive romantic reunion. And then we arrive at the Moody Center concert.
The scene you set at the very beginning of our deep dive.
Exactly. So Ricky is standing in the VIP pit. Ariana's on stage performing Thank You Next. And she makes a live, unscripted edit to the song.
This is the moment.
Instead of singing Now I Listen and Laugh, she changes the lyric to, Now They Still Kind of Slap. And then she follows it up by singing, I Know He Still Got My Back.
The crowd must have just lost it.
Oh, they went feral. And the reaction from Ricky was captured instantly by fans on TikTok and subsequently analyzed by sources like Bollywood Shotties.
What did he do?
Well, he whips his head around in genuine surprise, clearly caught off guard by the public shout-out. Then, in a moment that completely deflates the romantic rumors, he turns and shares a proud, friendly handshake with Ariana's father, who is standing right next to him.
Wait, her dad was right there?
Her dad was standing right there. They literally just shook hands.
Okay, that is the least scandalous thing I've ever heard.
Right. I look at that moment as a master class in modern public relations. She knows the world is watching her post-breakup moves with a magnifying glass. By changing the lyric, she is effectively editing her own public diary in real time.
That's a really smart way to look at it.
She takes the paparazzi photos from the Campina, which the internet was trying to weaponize into a scandalous reunion narrative, and disarms them completely. It's a wink to the audience that says, We are just friends. I see you watching, and I am in control of this narrative.
It is a brilliant strategy, and sources immediately confirmed that the reunion was strictly platonic. They were simply old friends celebrating her birthday.
Just grabbing tacos.
Literally just grabbing tacos. But her live lyrical edit acknowledges the public's intrusive gaze and neutralizes it with humor and transparency.
And yet, despite the obvious platonic nature of a handshake with her dad, the internet still lost its collective mind.
Of course they did.
People were aggressively analyzing the body language in the cantina photos, breaking down the audio of the concert, treating this interaction like it was their own sister getting back with an ex.
It's so intense.
If there are just two random people in Texas grabbing food, why is the internet having a biological stress response to it?
That is the core question that drives the second half of our deep dive. And later, we'll talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming regarding the psychology of the frenzy.
I am so ready for this. Lay the science on us.
Okay, so to answer it, we have to move away from celebrity gossip and look at the hard science of human attachment. Our primary source here is a highly revealing scholarly review by researcher Anvi Jana, which examines the psychology of parasocial relationships, specifically focusing on adolescence.
So if you are listening to this and wondering why your entire day was ruined when your favorite band broke up, or why you felt a genuine knot in your stomach seeing a paparazzi photo of a stranger, the science points straight to cultivation theory.
Exactly. Think of cultivation theory like a psychological GPS system. This theory proposes that people, especially young adolescents whose brains are still heavily developing, use media to map out their understanding of the real world.
Okay, makes sense.
They don't just learn about romantic love from watching their parents or their community, they learn it from television, movies, and pop stars.
So if you are a teenager without a strong, reliable compass at home, you let media draw your map of how love, friendship, and conflict are supposed to work. Hollywood becomes your baseline reality.
Bingo. The study draws a staggering connection between parental attachment and social anxiety. Teenagers who experienced a lack of secure parental attachment, who felt rejected, unseen, or unsupported by their primary caregivers, exhibited a 79% higher rate of social anxiety.
79%. That number is massive.
It's huge.
So if you don't get that safe, secure attachment at home, your psychological GPS is fundamentally broken when it comes to navigating real-world social situations.
Precisely. The prospect of asking someone on a date or making a new friend at school carries a terrifying risk of rejection.
Right, because you don't have a safety net.
Exactly. And this is where the evolutionary mismatch comes into play. The human brain evolved in small tribes. For hundreds of thousands of years, if you saw a face every single day and you heard their voice, your mammalian brain categorized them as a member of your tribe.
Oh, wow.
Our neurological hardware has not updated to understand the concept of a screen.
So when a socially anxious teen watches Ariana Grande's intimate behind-the-scenes vlogs or reads her deeply personal lyrics every day, their primitive brain is literally processing her as a close personal friend.
Yes, it is an evolutionary hack.
That is mind-blowing.
It is an incredibly potent hack. Parasocial relationships, these one-sided connections with famous people, offer all the neurological rewards of intimacy with absolutely zero risk of being rejected.
Because Ariana Grande is never going to mock you in the cafeteria.
Exactly. She provides a perfectly safe harbor for a highly anxious mind.
But the study points out that while the relationship feels safe, the emotional toll is very real. I read the section on the empathy extreme, and what struck me wasn't just the psychological anxiety, but the physical symptoms.
It's a very real physical response.
Yeah. The study reveals that these socially anxious teenagers suffer a 78% increase in their own anxiety when something negative happens to their favorite celebrity.
That is the biological cost of the evolutionary hack. When a celebrity receives an avalanche of online hate or goes through a very public, painful divorce, the fan's nervous system treats it like a real social threat to their own survival circle.
So they experience a tangible cortisol spike.
Right. They internalize the celebrity's trauma as their own.
And social media algorithms are engineered to pour gasoline on this fire. 10 years ago, you might watch a star in a movie and then read a heavily curated magazine interview a month later. There was a natural distance.
A huge distance.
Now, the algorithm acts like a slot machine for intimacy. Celebrities are in your pocket, speaking directly into the camera on TikTok, sharing their morning coffee routines, creating this relentless daily illusion of true friendship.
And that continuous feed creates a feedback loop of false intimacy. The most alarming statistic from Anvijana's study highlights the danger of this loop.
This is the stat that really got me.
Yeah, there is an 84% correlation with an R value of 0.917, which is incredibly high between fans constantly checking a celebrity's social media and genuinely believing that the celebrity will reciprocate their friendship if they ever met in real life.
An 84% correlation. That means the more you refresh their feed, the more your brain actually rewires itself to believe the delusion.
It literally changes your perception of reality.
You start thinking, we are actual friends. I know her heart. When we finally meet at a meet and greet, she's going to instantly recognize our profound bond.
It completely blurs the line between reality and projection. And the study doesn't shy away from the dark extremes of this delusional attachment.
Right, can get dangerous.
Very dangerous. It cites historical stalking cases, pointing to individuals like John Hinckley Jr., who attempted to assassinate the President of the United States entirely based on a parasocial delusion.
Just wild.
He genuinely believed it would impress the actress Jodie Foster and validate their imagined connection.
Which, forces us to ask a really uncomfortable question about the outrage we see online today.
Mm.
When millions of fans are having absolute vitriolic meltdowns over Ariana's breakup with Ethan Slater, or obsessively dissecting her handshake with Ricky Alvarez. Obsessively dissecting her handshake with Ricky Alvarez, are they actually reacting to the real-life human beings involved?
Probably not.
Or are they mourning a fictional, projected relationship that only exists in their own socially anxious minds?
It is almost certainly the latter. They are reacting to a disruption in their own psychological GPS. When a celebrity deviates from the script that the fan relies on for comfort, it feels like a personal betrayal.
It is the invisible emotional tax of the digital age. You are paying a severe emotional price for a relationship where you are the only one actually participating. You are mourning the loss of a narrative that you used to self-soothe.
And the celebrity is just living their life.
Exactly. So when Ariana is on stage singing, wrote some songs about Ricky, now they still kind of slap, she is not just winking at an old boyfriend. She is carefully navigating a minefield of millions of people's projected, unresolved anxieties.
She is managing a crowd that feels a profound, deeply unearned sense of ownership over her emotional state. Every lyric she writes, every handshake she shares, every tour date she announces is being filtered through the hyper-vigilant lens of a highly attached audience.
So what does this all mean when we pull the pieces together? We started this deep dive in the blinding, flashing lights of a Texas concert arena, listening to a crowd completely lose its mind over a changed pop lyric.
A lyric change that launched 1,000 think pieces.
Seriously. We unpacked a surprisingly quiet, mature breakup that defied every expectation we have of tabloid Hollywood. We dissected a viral platonic reunion that was weaponized by the rumor mill. And ultimately, we pulled back the curtain on the evolutionary and psychological reasons why our brains literally cannot look away from the stars.
We are a species that fundamentally craves connection. And when the real world feels too fraught with the risk of rejection, we use the media to build fortresses of parasocial love around people who live inside our screens.
Which leaves us with a final concept I really want you to mull over today. If our brains are biologically hardwired to form these genuine, intense emotional attachments through the slot machine mechanics of social media, what happens when a star like Ariana Grande intentionally halves her tour to protect her peace?
It represents a massive disruption of the parasocial supply.
Exactly. She's putting up a boundary. Are we, as an audience, mature enough to let our so-called parasocial friends set healthy limits?
That's the real test.
Can we accept that they need to step into the shadows to heal their relationship with their art? Or will we just keep projecting our own anxieties onto their lyrics, demanding they constantly bleed for our entertainment? When the flashing lights finally turn off, are we okay just being alone in the dark?
That is a question that requires a lot of self-reflection from anyone who engages with modern media.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the sources. Until next time, keep questioning the narrative.